Hello, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to Cardano Live. I apologize for having a little bit of a late start here. We were doing a little bit of logistics setup that took a little longer than I thought it would, but we're all good now, all fired up and ready to go. We have Project Catalyst, Planting Roots in Africa here today. We got links down below in the description, so check out the description down below. We've got links to the Planting Roots in Africa Project Catalyst Fund 6 proposal. We have links to the West Africa Decentralized Alliance Twitter account. You can click that link, follow West Africa Decentralized Alliance on Twitter, where Mercy will provide updates as things move along on the West Africa Decentralized Alliance. Here today, I have Mercy and Megan with us. They're going to tell us more about the Project Catalyst Fund 6 proposal, the Planting Roots in Africa, which was under the Grow Africa, Grow Cardano title in the Project Catalyst app. So whenever you log into your app, you'll see that under Grow Africa, Grow Cardano. Check out their proposal there. Voting is in progress as we speak from October 7th to October 21st. We have voting on Project Catalyst. Make sure you get all of your projects that you think are important, that you think will benefit Cardano, get them a thumbs up and get those projects upvoted. So when you cast your vote, it will count and it will support those projects that you think are most important. Without further ado, I would like to get on to Mercy and Megan. Thank you both for returning to Cardano Live. I appreciate you coming back. I must not have scared you off completely.
No, you couldn't possibly.
And Megan, you've been a juggernaut with podcasts lately. Thanks for coming on Wednesday as well. If you want to check out the previous podcast, Megan was on with episode 41 on Wednesday. And we're going to get into the Planting Roots in Africa. What is the history behind this initiative that you've launched on Project Catalyst? What is driving the need for the Planting Roots in Africa proposal? Can you tell us more about it, please?
Yeah, thanks. And Mercy, if you don't mind, I'll start and let you jump in. I think that's a great question because this particular proposal, I think it kind of lays behind the real heart of what we're trying to go for at WADA. We want to be a resource sharing network. And in order to make that happen, we're focusing on our three main pillars: infrastructure, education, and DApp creation, sort of in that order. We start with infrastructure, meaning on the ground infrastructure, giving centers in Africa access to the internet, electricity, some of these fundamental things that, I took for granted living in California, and making that not the obstacle for people to come into Cardano, to come into distributed ledger technology, period. So what this proposal is really about is we narrowed down some of our key hub locations that could use some real support, and kind of budgeted how to support them on this fundamental level for a period of time in order to encourage that. So that's what really motivated this one.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about a little bit of what's behind driving the proposal. And just a reminder for a moment, make sure you don't bang your table because it's hitting your microphone and I'm hearing it go crunchy crunch. It sounds like popcorn a little bit. So
I was trying not to throw my hands up in the air, and I think I was like hiding it all under.
I do it too. I'm very animated when I speak, and I try not. That's why I have this floating microphone so I don't bang into it. All right. So what's behind that is now, right now, you are broadcasting from Africa. You're in Cameroon, Africa, and
Yep.
Africa has built some great infrastructure as far as there is internet available, power and stuff like that. But some of the history behind it is there are a lot of places in Africa that still has rolling brownouts for power conservation. And there's still not high-powered internet connection that is consistent enough to be persistently online, where developers often, as the developers collaborate, they have to be persistently online. So we need to take that infrastructure and strengthen it. That's what's behind this proposal, is to help get that infrastructure strengthened. And it's very interesting, like projects like World Mobile are working towards that as well. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the World Mobile, where they're putting in the Earth nodes and the Air nodes, and the Air nodes will be deployed out on the ground to help improve internet access. They'll be solar powered. It'll have some compute powered. It'll also have some network access power, so that once they start deploying those, that will help improve. But with the Project Catalyst proposal you have, you're actually looking at putting together on-site locations and then building those up. Yes, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so absolutely, what you've said is right. In terms of even what World Mobile is doing, they are way over in East Africa, and needless to say, it would take a while for them to cover the rest of Africa. But basically, in addition, and thank you for that context, Rick and Megan. But in addition to actually providing that consistent internet as well as the electricity, it's also sort of a place for young people, young at heart, people who want to learn new technology, for them to sort of gather and then, get to know each other, bounce ideas off one another, just that physical space. So that's also one of the main reasons that we have these hubs as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so the hubs are going to provide a place for the developers to get together and start building infrastructure that is key and critical to actual use cases in Africa.
Exactly.
All right. And that's the goals. Okay.
Yeah.
And Megan, you had some other information for us related to a screen sharing here. Are you ready for that? Did you want to move on to that?
Sure. Yeah. Right. Let's jump into the screen share, because I heard, in your introduction, couple of things, Rick, we need to update you on.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So I will bring that screen share up. And since this is an audio podcast, we'll make sure we speak verbosely to the information on the slide here. And if the viewers have any questions, please let us know over in the chat and we will get to your questions. Thank you. All right, Megan, take us away.
Definitely. So you introduced us as West Africa Decentralized Alliance, which was true up to just a little bit ago. We really started this initiative trying to focus on a manageable chunk, let's put it that way, focusing on West Africa. But as many of you know, I joined the team very early. My tie is to Cameroon, which technically is actually in Central Africa. So even from a very early stage, we were sort of battling with this idea of, yes, we want to focus on a small use case, but we know that the long-term goal is going to be to expand across Africa. And then also there's this huge component of the diaspora, people who are from Africa and have moved to other parts of the world. I mean, look at Mercy right here, living in the diaspora. So as we're growing, as some different things are coming up, we thought it was really a great time to rebrand, and we have an amazing branding team working with us, and came up with our new logo. Da, da, da.
Wow.
So we are now just WADA. It's no longer an acronym. It's a word. You can use it as a noun. Maybe someday it will be a verb. We'll see.
That name.
But I think the biggest underlying piece here is opening it up to be more inclusive. And we've been pretty active in the community in order to establish our name as WADA. And some people, knew the whole mouthful of West Africa Decentralized Alliance. Some people knew us as WADA. The more we kind of thought of trying to come up with more clever names, the more that WADA kept kind of coming back.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
it flows off the tongue. It's kind of like YOLO, right? It's an initialism. Some people call it an acronym, but it's initialism. And then YOLO means you only live once, right? And then so WADA, and so it became a word like that. Yeah. Megan, sorry, be careful. You're bumping your microphone cord again.
Oh, man. Okay, sorry.
It's making an itchy, scratchy sound. Sorry, just brief reminder.
I'm tying my hands.
I am going to give it back to Megan in a minute, but I just want to tell you guys a cool story behind even the name. So we went through so many, iterations and reiterations and votes, and you can imagine how that would go. But then the day that we settled on it, earlier on, Felix Weber from the Swarm he had sort of facilitated a meeting with WADA and the Japanese, one of the Japanese managers, community managers, Utah, and somebody, Skip, he was there to help us with the interpretation. And then during that meeting, they were like, "Oh, do you know that WADA is a Japanese word?" I'm like, "Really? What does it mean?" And they are like, "Oh, WADA means peaceful rice fields." So like rice, rice fields, peaceful rice fields. So I'm like, okay, so that must be in the stars. So, it was one of the things that actually cemented for us that this name, there's just something in it. We would just go for it, just as a word, as a noun. So yeah.
So
Sorry,
I love
Megan. I just wanted to
positive
throw that
vibes
in.
behind it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we love
I
it.
love that. Peaceful rice fields where things grow. That's awesome.
Exactly. I
What a
know,
great
right?
coincidence.
I
Let's just
know.
take that as a stroke of serendipity and go with it. WADA,
We are
peaceful rice
going with
fields.
it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Megan, you got some good info for us. What you got?
Yeah. So basically, we kind of already talked about the 3 pillars of WADA. We focused on the fact that this proposal is going to be supporting the infrastructure. Just to talk a little bit about, what we've been up to at WADA. We've since getting funding, we've started being able to host regular events. So we have at least monthly events and then some smaller events that I didn't put on here. But since July, we had a Francophone event that was hosted in DRC about an introduction to blockchain and Cardano. And then in August, we did the big WADA Catalyst conference. And then September, we were lucky enough to host a few watch parties for the Cardano Summit. And we're definitely planning many more. But one thing I want to highlight on these events in this idea of infrastructure is all of these events were virtual, but all of these events also had an in-person component, like an in-person hosting at one of our hubs. And we were able to support that hub by making sure that they had the top-notch internet connection and backup electricity to kind of make sure that it ran smoothly. And then they kind of plugged into our virtual event. There were still additional people joining from around the world, but there was also this, when what's really important, the in-person component, the meeting in a room where you can kind of like talk to your neighbor and have a lot of these organic conversations, which is something that we want to continue doing with our events going forwards, have the in-person components as well. And so that's where this infrastructure piece really comes in. And that's what the hubs, being an access point into our network, they're having access to things like our events and our education content.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're well beyond proof of concept. You've done these fully. You said in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes.
And
yes.
And so that's more than proof of concept. You had people actually doing it and connecting and getting together and learning stuff. I think that's awesome because when people are learning and collaborating, they tend to want to collaborate more and get together more. Plus, you have a teacher, right, local and present. And then you can leverage the online features, information that's available online, and the online collaboration to improve that experience. So, well, thank you. So you're starting with infrastructure first. So get the infrastructure sorted, and then following that comes the education and the dApp creation. All right.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the piece about an expert, because I didn't explicitly mention this, but another component of what this proposal would support is a hub lead. And so we absolutely do want to make sure to have, a hub lead on site who's knowledgeable and can be a good point of contact for, getting into this whole network. And let me just throw this slide up here for a second. So we talked about being the infrastructure to support many, many things. So we have expanded a lot in terms of our network and things like that. And we, together with partners and our general network, have put in about 25 proposals in Fund 6. just touching on a lot of different things. And so this one, the planting roots in Africa, is going to really be, I think, a key component that's holding up also all these other really amazing proposals and ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think one thing that I quickly want to throw in here is, Rick, you're a stake pool operator, so you would know this. But when we look at the Cardano ecosystem, a lot of the stake pools tend to be in North America, in Europe, and to some extent in Eastern Asia and Australia. And when you look at the map, there's very few that's in Africa. So one thing that we're really wanting to drive, even in these hub areas that we are establishing, is just to figure out a way, because there's consistent internet and there's consistent electricity. There are quite a few data centers regionally. So at least in Ghana, sort of Ivory Coast, it shouldn't be a problem with data centers. Nigeria as well. When you go to the east, sort of Kenya, Rwanda, that area. So there are quite some good data centers that the only limitation right now is basically consistent electricity and good internet. So that's also something that we are working on. So just to be a support. It's not just as a source of income for us. One of the main things is actually for the continent to be part of ensuring the security and the authenticity of the Cardano protocol in terms of diversifying the stake pools as much as possible. So that's very important to us.
Okay, thank you for that. And you know what, Mercy, I can answer your question. Megan, do you want me to bring the screen share down, or
yeah, we
still
can,
going to go
sure.
through?
Yeah, no, we can.
Okay, all right.
I don't need to.
So,
go through all these.
All right, I think you hit the key points on that. Focus currently is on infrastructure. Get the infrastructure built, and you have proposals in on that. Mercy had a question for me, kind of related to stake pool operators. Are you kind of pushing a direction where you would have stake pools running in Africa and nodes, relays that are that people can connect to and bring the Cardano blockchain into Africa? Okay, yeah, and that's a really good question. Yeah, and some of the key things, if there are people who are on the ground are going to have to look at the parameters and the specs and look at the infrastructure that they have. Since I'm not there, it's kind of hard for me to assess. But there's a lot of smart young people we had on the podcast. Remember, over on Digital Fortress, we had the young lady from the university, and we had Richard from over in Congo, and the different folks. They'll know better what kind of speed they have, but you got to have low latency. You want to have something probably less than 100 milliseconds of latency. I think you need, I can't remember the exact specs. They're not right in front of me, but I think you want to have at least a gigabit of bandwidth per day, but with low latency, something well under 100. Let me know in the chat. If someone looks up the numbers, you can post it over there in the chat. The RAM and processing, not too hard to achieve. It's gone up a little. It's up around 9. I recommend 16 gigabytes of RAM and at least 4 dedicated CPU cores. So a little bit more than a Raspberry Pi right now. If someone's running on a Raspberry Pi, they're probably starting to run into issues, although Cardano is extremely efficient as far as the blockchain size and storage. And as far as the actual network is extremely efficient, much more efficient than almost any other network, extremely power efficient. So I did the math once. I can't remember what it was, but I would have needed something like 2,000 watts of solar panels per day to keep a 100-watt node running 24 hours a day. And that includes storing battery power overnight. Can't remember the exact specs, but that was approximately what it was. So, there are solutions. Hopefully the world mobile type solution can also translate over to Cardano nodes, where you have an all-in-one node. It connects to the network. It also self-powers by collecting and storing solar energy, and it runs on a power-efficient processing equipment. It does not require powerful equipment to run Cardano nodes. It's still pretty lightweight compared to almost all other blockchains. So, I can't say anything specific though, since I'm not there on the ground. I don't know what the power and internet availability is for stuff like that, but I'm sure there's plenty of smart people there who will figure it out.
There are. We have John T. John T was going to join this call as well, but things didn't quite work out. But he is part of the Plutus Pioneer program.
Okay.
He has a lot of tech know-how. We have a PhD computer science in Ivory Coast, actually. His name is Male Kone. He's also amazing with these things. In addition, Megan's partner, Manfo, as you know, he's our tech lead. Yeah, we do have some. Yeah, I'm bragging right now. We have some smart people.
Brag away.
Some people.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So
well, it's
yeah.
an interesting
So
point you bring up about solar panels, because when we were kind of putting the budget together and talking about these different locations, I mean, maybe obviously, but obviously, I would want us to have solar panels in all of our locations. In terms of logistically, it's trying to find the balance, like which places are maybe renting a space and therefore a solar panel is not an option. So it was interesting that whole research, finding the best ways to support places and also wanting to do it in an environmentally friendly way and in a way that was really supporting long-term.
Yeah.
But the long-term goal is definitely solar or some kind of renewable energy.
Okay. Well, as people figure it out, I would like people to get a hold of Mercy, contact her on Twitter, and let her know if you figured out what's the best way to run a node in Africa. Pass that information to her, and then she can disseminate it out to other people who are trying to bring up nodes in Africa. Now, fortunately, on the developer side, they can develop locally, run the testnet Plutus local applications to build, but then they need a node. They need to be able to connect to the node network to deploy those applications to the blockchain. So that's still going to be very important for them to be able to bring up nodes, relays, pools, anything they need to do to get that infrastructure running. It'd be interesting if they were mining Dogecoin. Elon Musk would probably come in and try to solve it and go, "Yeah, we could put solar in here, but
send us some Starlinks."
Yeah, he has a Starlink, and we're trying to see how we can work with that as well. So who knows? He might be able to help after all.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple people looking at running Starlink nodes. I think Adam Dean and James Kelly they're doing testing with Starlink. There's some limitations currently while it's still coming up, but it's getting better. It's getting better. It's getting faster latency. And so that would be critical. But yeah, have to make sure people put in applications for getting the Starlink. It's not really an application. It's kind of like you got to reserve ahead of time.
Yeah.
And it's $500 for the base station. Right, to purchase the base station. And then I think it's $99 a month for the bandwidth. And there's still a couple workarounds to be able to get through to run a node properly, but it's doable. So we'll get a chime in from those fellas here in the next couple of months and see how far they've gotten with their Starlink efforts. See if they're still making progress on it, because it seemed feasible. Yep. All right, cool. Hey, anything else on the planting roots in Africa? What about so the current stats? You told us about the history, current state. You're building infrastructure. All right, and then as the time goes on, you'll dive deeper, and there will be more Project Catalyst proposals that are related to the education and the deployment of dApps that are relevant to African use cases in West Africa, right? That's the way ahead here.
And yeah, I mean, actually, so in Fund 6, we've submitted more proposals, and we're kind of working in parallel on the infrastructure and education in terms of, really focusing on our educational strategy, curriculum. Our, kind of lead education team has started their sort of focused trainer training, if you will. And we did put in, one of the proposals we put in was sort of related to that, in multilingual resources to factor in this additional component. Our goal is to kind of train the trainers together in English, but all these people who are coming together and training in English also speak another language. And so when they're then going to produce content, they can create the content in their native language, it's a much easier translation to go into your native language. but they can be learning and growing together in the common language of English.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to quickly add to that as well, like Planting Roots in Africa, we did put in the proposal in Fund 5. We missed funding by it was so little, like how we missed it. It was just by, less than $1,000. So what we did then, we were asking for 125K. What we've done since then is that we managed to get partnerships both in Ivory Coast and in DRC at the university. So the hub is going to be at the university. So we're going to get free space. So that's cool. So because of that and some of the other modifications that we did, we were able to reduce our ask from 125 to I believe it's 57K. And then we're also able to sort of, like the way that Catalyst is working right now, it's sort of good to make sure that you are fitting proposals into the appropriate categories. So those things that didn't really fit in there, sort of Planting Roots, we're able to sort of pass it out and put it in the other categories. Another thing that has arisen, and that's one of the reasons, as Megan was saying, that's why, we are no longer just West Africa, we are sort of all of Africa and diaspora as WADA, because we have people coming from Zimbabwe. We have some really good proposals from Zimbabwe, DApps, and they're also sort of organizing their developer ecosystem. We have someone also joining us, the team from Sudan, and we're really excited about that because that group is in sort of development work, poverty alleviation, conservation, and they come with a whole lot of Arabic translation resource, right? And then, like even in West Africa, Burkina Faso, that's also a strongly French group that is joining us. So, for us, when we talk about Planting Roots in Africa, it's just, it's almost like it just puts us out there, and then we are attracting all these people all over Africa and the diaspora, and the work is actually just doing itself. And we just get to have fun and get to meet cool people and just come and sit here and just talk about it. But, like there are just these passionate people all over the continent and in the diaspora, and they inspire us. And we are just, every day we are hearing from people. And one of these days, one of the things that we are trying to do, it's also in our proposal, is just try to scale how people are joining the WADA network, in the sense that, before we're able to sort of build some form of a platform or a protocol, we just want to establish this membership site whereby, it's easy for people to just hop in and they know where to put themselves, and then we scale it up from there. So there's a lot of work that we're doing, Eric, and we're excited about it. It's growing every day. There are some secrets that we're going to release very soon. It's not quite ready yet, but we have some surprises coming up. So we are really, really excited.
Everybody in crypto loves surprises. So we're going to be looking forward to those surprises. Wow, Mercy, it seems like you've really expanded your network since the last time we spoke.
We have indeed.
So some of the languages, as Megan referred to earlier, some of the translations might be for French, but in other areas, as you just indicated,
French
would be for Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've expanded your network, and it seems like you're getting the outreach you were looking for. All right.
Indeed.
So, I have an idea.
If I could really quickly, because I forgot to mention it earlier, but when I was highlighting our events, I don't know if I mentioned, but we were offering the English events with live translation. So we're kind of already, I think French is the easiest. Like, I speak French, and we have a strong base here, but we're hoping to, as we're building this relationship, add Arabic, and if you speak another language, like, join us, and we'll incorporate as many languages as we can.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. Okay, I've got a suggestion. I learned something this morning, and I want to share it with y'all.
Yes, please.
Awesome.
Okay, I saw DC Spark posted an advertisement for their Fund 6 Project Catalyst proposals, and I love DC Spark. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's fantastic. What they did is they put a little animation that showed going through the wallet selection process on a phone app, right? and showing the proposals to vote for, right? And I realized the most common question that I get from people when we start promoting Project Catalyst, like voting started yesterday, right? The most common question I get is, who should I vote for, right? How do I filter through all this information? So what I took from that is, or what my suggestion is, if you were to take all of the proposals you have for West Africa Decentralized, for WADA, it's a word now, means rice field, and categorize them into the group and then the actual proposal number so that people can easily find it in their wallet and select it from the Catalyst app. So group and then proposal name, the title as it appears in the phone app, right? And then it'll make it easier for people to vote. And then you could see you could see better results is what I'm thinking. And when I saw that from
hoping,
I was like, wow, that was brilliant. Did you do one of those?
Well, we put it on our website and we did our best to, separate them into the categories and, all the names are the same. So it should be easy. I think the nature of, if you're looking at one on your one screen and one on another screen, it should be very easy. But if you, if you go to our website, wadaalliance.org, you'll see a tab for,
Francis proposals. I've put it in our private chat, Rick. And if there are any WADA people on the stream, please help us out on YouTube as well. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to copy that link. Okay, proposal Fund 6. And I'm going to put that over here in the comments. If there's any questions, let me know. We're about to wrap up. We're going to be wrapping up shortly. And here's the link over in the chat to the WADA Alliance Fund 6 proposals. Check those out. Those are active currently. They can actually be voted on.
Yes.
So make sure you check those out. Links in the chat over on the side. I will also post that in the description when we're done with the podcast here. All right. So we don't have questions in there. We don't have any questions from the viewers. So it looks like we're ready to wrap up. It'll be a nice early happy Friday. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So I will let you two, Mercy and Megan, you have the last words for our guests and our viewers. And before we wrap up, reminder to guests and viewers, check out the links down below to the Project Catalyst proposals, links to the WADA Twitter account. And while you're down there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get more from Cardano Live, make sure you hit that bell so you get notifications. Mercy, would you like to tell us goodbye and happy Friday here? What do you got?
I just want to say thank you. I'm full of gratitude to the Cardano community, to Catalyst, to the IOG staff that work in Catalyst. They work so hard. I want to say thank you to the CAs. I want to say thank you to the VCAs. We are forever grateful for the support to some of our partners like Swarm, the Catalyst School, Gimbal Labs, ABCD. I could go on and on and on, but these are people that, they hold us up, they help us, and we are all in this together. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Mercy. Megan?
Yeah, I just want to, again, thank you, Rick, for having us on the show. It's been a real pleasure to be part of this community, and I think the feeling of this show today, and remembering our first show, it's been a little bit moving for me to see kind of the progress we've made, and it's great to feel like something's actually happening for all this stuff that we're doing. So thanks so much for the support, everyone who's watching, and thanks again for having us on the show.
Yeah, and Rick, just one last thing, sometimes the most obvious thing, that's what we don't say, but we are so grateful for your support. You've been consistent, and we are really, really thankful and grateful for what you do. Just very quickly, even for us to even get on our feet and to be where we are now. Fund 3, remember when we didn't get funding, and it was through you and Gary and our friends of WADA First 50. We still haven't forgotten them at all, and they will be hearing from us very soon. So thank you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mercy. And I'm glad you all are here. Why? Because we need you. We're going for number one. And it takes a lot of people to be going for number one. And that's it. That's all we got for today, everybody. Take care. Happy Friday. And remember, Cardano, going for number one all day, every day, relentless. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.